those of you who just joined us, welcome. Today's webinar is entitled Cloud Journey with IPSB Technology and AWS. For today's webinar, a recorded version of this webinar will be available after the session on our social media pages as well as our website at ipsb.com.my. For any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below and we will answer at the end of the session. Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. It's nice to see all of you here today. My name is Jami Ramli from IPSB Technology. Thank you for tuning in to this session of IPSB and AWS webinar. Today, we will be discussing on the challenges and opportunities in Malaysia towards cloud adoption. I'd like to introduce today's presenter. We have Madya Nasir, Director and VP of Sales, IPSB Technology as our moderator for today, and Datuk Nasir, Managing Director of IPSB Technology, and also Hafiz Hassan, Public Sector Lead from Amazon Web Service as our panelists. We are here today to shed some light on opportunities and challenges in the Malaysian market to inspire and encourage cloud adoption. For this, please welcome Maria.
Hi, Assalamualaikum everyone.
Salam.
Good morning, good afternoon for people who's watching us right now. So with me today will be Datuk Nasir Baki, our Managing Director of IPSB Technology, and Hafiz Hassan, Public Sector Lead for Amazon Web Services. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yes. So before we start, I would like to ask both of you, how's you've been doing for this COVID-19 lockdown in Malaysia?
Of course, we kind of enjoying it in a way,
Staying at home.
because we tend to like review more Netflix movies, things that we miss doing with maybe our family.
Yep.
Some reading, some personal matters. At the same time, looking at our strategies, business, and things like that.
Do you know that Netflix is actually on AWS? Like all the Netflix content is all stored on AWS. So that's an interesting fact here.
That could be our point of discussion today.
Yep, exactly.
You just imagine, normally people do fire drills, right? Fire drills is a drill. People create a situation. They want to know whether the safety measure is there, processes are there. Even in the disaster recovery process, people are testing situation that they created. But this pandemic has created a real situation for us. We would be able to know what to do in the worst case scenario. So I believe that this pandemic, we always have to look from the positive angle. The test of the technology, people are talking about the usage of cloud, the usage of technology during trying times. Like I'm not promoting Zoom, but we are using Zoom now. But without the pandemic, the usage of Zoom may not be as much. The usage of bandwidth. Previously, people talk about 1 gigabit at home is like too much. Now, when I use 1 gigabit at home with like 5-6 family members, with 2 streaming of Netflix on, it can be quite a challenge for even 1 gigabit to handle. So I would say, in a way, that we are in the real-time fire drills.
It's interesting you mentioned Zoom just now, because Zoom also runs on AWS. That shows how the cloud can help Zoom to quickly scale up during this pandemic period, right? So just want to highlight on that.
So the question here, who doesn't use AWS, right? So everybody is actually on AWS. So I think the reason why AWS is so a fourth runner in this cloud space is because you have already have experience prior to the pandemic. You have years of experience with the Amazon business and things like that. So how about you, Hafiz? How's been going? How things going with you?
Well, personally, it has been hectic because before COVID-19, at least we have breaks in between meetings, right?
Yeah.
But with the MCO and all that, we no longer have an excuse to drive around. So they're pretty much back-to-back meeting the whole day. But business-wise, it has been really good because more and more government agencies and are now looking at cloud as a way to quickly roll out new systems and address the sudden need of increase of usage during this COVID-19 period. So it's kind of like mixed. It's tiring, but at the same time, it's rewarding, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody I think everybody just don't know what to do when this pandemic happened. Everybody just jumped the gun and just whatever that's in front of them. And I think for people like us in the industry, we also feel that there's a new wave of transformation that's happening throughout public sector, government agencies. And I think a lot of people, they wanted to know more about how they can leverage cloud, how they can leverage managed services. That is the exact topic that we're going to talk about today. So that's where I want to ask the first question here. Maybe to Datuk Nasir, like how do IPSB started and what kind of solution that we offer and why we choose AWS as a partner? Because I think there's few cloud environment out there or offerings, but what do you see that AWS does have in comparison to any other public cloud service out there?
So I think the question, can lead to even like 1 or 2 hours discussion. When you ask that kind of question, so I think in essence, IPSB, we are more than 10 years company, always been involved in big data solution, digital contents, and be able to help the company to manage a massive amount of information and data, and also transport those information over various usage, and various location. So our cloud journey basically happened when we ourselves need to scale our organization without having our own data center. We have implemented our first what they call this streaming services using cloud in RTM. They call it MyClick. With the partnership of AWS. So that was really our first, not to say trial, is an initiative together with the government, and it has proven successful. It could scale World Cup situation. Mardia should know. I don't know how many viewers at that time for the World Cup. They were skeptical, but actually we managed to handle the World Cup live without any glitch. Yep. At the same time, we also have moved into Brunei for the Brunei RTB for their so-called similar services like RTM, but they have extended that into the education services as well. Our journey with AWS was really, I would say, very inspiring, learning, and we grow together in terms of providing the services to the enterprises and also for the government itself. So both of us are still pretty much in our, always going back to the drawing board, looking at the blueprint, what else can we improve, what are the challenges and things like that. So I would say the relationship was very mutual and very productive for us and our customers.
Yeah, that's interesting. You point out there that we always go back to the drawing board, because I think the transformation of cloud journey is not going to end the day one you just go into AWS and turn on your first service. It's always an evolution. In fact for us is a journey. Even though we're already in AWS for a number of years, but we're still learning and we're always going back to the drawing board. So that's my next question to Hafiz. Like, how do you see the transformation of cloud journey in the next years to come, and how our customer be able to benefit from AWS services?
Yeah, so we see demand in public sector on cloud on more towards solutions that can help them innovate, right? AI, machine learning, these are the kind of demand or use cases that we see is increasing in demand in the public sector. Reason is because a couple of years back, for government to implement AI or machine learning, it will require them huge infrastructure investment. And with the cloud, it gives them the opportunity to experiment and start small and go big and scale up later, which is something that was not possible a couple of years ago. So another area is big data, and of course content delivery. I believe we work very closely with IPSB in content delivery kind of project. Dato mentioned just now, RTM was among the first, actually the very first project that we started working together. And most recently, we work with IPSB in helping Department of Statistics to scale up their learning system, their online learning system, to the census officers because of COVID-19, right? COVID-19 has forced Department of Statistics to actually cancel all their in-person training and move to online learning. And we work closely with IPSB using IPSB expertise in content delivery to enable Department of Statistics to actually roll out an online learning system in a very short time frame. And it can scale up to be delivered to officers nationwide, right? And that's the thing about cloud, right? It's not just about innovation. It can help government agencies to introduce new things quickly and so on. Yeah. And partner like IPSB is definitely the enabler when it comes to AWS adoption, because AWS is a cloud platform. We are just a platform. We provide the platform for customers to run the solutions. IPSB partner like IPSB is the one who actually deliver the whole solution to the end customer that have to run on AWS.
So if let's say I know nothing about cloud. I want to start the cloud journey with AWS. So where should I start? Like, what are the first thing in your mind if I'm a customer and I want to go into cloud? So what's the first thing that I need to do?
Well, cloud is a journey. Cloud adoption is a journey, right? So normally the trend that we see is that when a customer wants to go to the cloud, they always start with development and testing kind of project, right? Experimentation type of project, so that they are able to do two things. Number one, experiment their ideas without incurring that high cost, upfront cost and so on. The other thing is one way for them to be trained, right? To actually really understand and familiarize themselves. So it's kind of like a journey, right? You start with development tests, and then you start to embark on a cloud for a small project or a much more, what we call it, innovative type of project. Then it will then move up to the second to the next stage and so on. So normally it's always start with development testing, sandboxing kind of environment, and then pick a pilot application that they want to test on the cloud, right? So that's the typical how the journey started.
So always start with a small project and try to understand what cloud be able to offer, right?
Yeah, typically it's like that. But with the COVID-19, as you can see, our customers don't have the luxury to start with the small development test. They straight away go big, which is all right? I mean, the COVID-19 to a certain extent drive digital transformation, right? So we see a lot of customers in Malaysia actually had to quickly embark on a large-scale project on cloud to immediately address the requirements. Like those Department of Statistics that I highlighted just now is a good example. It's a big system, right? And that's how it was.
I believe when I talk to some of our customers, they adopt cloud is just because they want to save money. Some of them have no other choice but to reduce their operating costs and also the capital expenditure. When they need to pay so much licenses on proprietary solution, yearly costs and maintenance and specialization, and also data center services and all that, and not to forget about the electricity and also the networking involved. When they in that situation, they straight away jump into the migrating to the cloud. For instance, when they talk about communication and collaboration, so there are a lot of freeware out there can do the collaboration and communication. Maybe the proprietary solution can do a lot more, but they may not use the whole entire features. So in a way that the adoption was due to the pressure on the cost of managing the business itself.
Yeah, that's true. How about scalability? Do you think that's another challenge for customer in terms of storage? There's never been enough, and right now we're talking about petabytes, zettabytes in the future. So in terms of scalability, how AWS be able to cover or help customers in terms of their storage environment and the usage, scalability of usage and things like that?
Yeah, so as part of our cloud platform, we provide storage, right? And definitely, but the cloud is all about ability to scale up and down based on demand, right? In the old world, where if you want to deploy a server or thousands of servers, it will take weeks or months, right? But in the new cloud world, you can add 1,000 servers and remove 1,000 servers in a matter of minutes. And the same goes with storage, right? You can deploy a 1 petabyte data warehouse in minutes, and you can also shut down the 1 petabyte data warehouse in minutes. The reason why we are able to do so is because the infrastructure that we have put together is scattered across 24 locations worldwide. So that pool of resources that that we have can be deployed by customer in minutes. So you're right. Scalability is one of the major factor of government agencies or public sector starting to adopt cloud these days. And when it comes to storage, we have different level of storage, right? And for technical people, when they see those storage, there are storage where you actually want to use based on certain use cases such as immediate retrieval. There are storage where you want to use for archiving purpose. So with the cloud, you can decide which storage tier will be suitable for your use cases.
That's interesting. So that's come to my next point. With IPSB, actually, we do have a managed services solution called ISAS, Enterprise Storage Archiving System. So this is where we be able to offer our customer a flexibility and extension of a cloud storage with AWS on-premise storage that will reside on the customer's premise, as well as a DR or a co-location storage for your DR, disaster recovery, maybe a second location infrastructure. So maybe in this case, Dato' Nasir maybe can explain further what ISAS is all about, or how ISAS be able to help our customers.
So in a nutshell, ISAS is basically a solution. But we never view ISAS as infrastructure, or ISAS as a storage, or ISAS as a physical data center. When we first look at ISAS, we understand the customer business workflow. What we deploy is the solution to manage the data continuum within the organization, from the production of the data to the ingest, to the archive, and to the usage of the data for repurposing or business analysis, or they want to do monetization, things like that. So to us, it doesn't matter where the data resides. It could reside totally in cloud. It could be a hybrid environment. So the customer would need to decide what would be the most effective way to deploy. So to us, we look at single management window, where we look at how to manage the data itself and the flow of the data to help the business to run more effectively. And at the end of the day, how the organization would be able to monetize the data.
Yeah, that's important. At the end of the day, I think a lot of our customer always have this issue. Like it's always they don't have enough space, and they end up have to choose which data they need to keep and which data they need to purge or totally delete from the system. And suddenly, 2 or 3 years down the road, they need to use that, and the data is gone. So I think this is where IPSB with AWS Cloud be able to help our customers. And in order to do that, our customer only have to think about the cost of the storage, but behind it, all the data movement, all the architecture, all the infrastructure, the solution, like what Datuk Nasir mentioned, they don't have to do it or lift a finger. Just turn it on and turn it off. So we also imagine the future is going to be as simple as that. As you turn on and turn off your electricity, even you'll be able to turn on and turn off your IT infrastructure as well, or solution.
Basically,
So
what
yeah.
we offer for ISAS is not just, as I said, infrastructure. It is about solution, and also we provide the financial services, the financial solution together along with it, so the customer can choose to commit on pay-per-use, for instance, to commit on certain amount of usage, certain period of time. So we give that flexibility to organization. So some organization may need to use very huge resources for certain period of time to run a project. So we have that capability together with AWS. For instance, if you guys have heard about elastic computing. So the organization could actually, handle the peak usage of the infrastructure or the resources without committing for the whole entire year or even months for the resources itself. So we provide that kind of flexibility to help the organization to say that, hey, you don't need to have such a large infrastructure of your own. So we would be able to help you to handle that kind of spike, very highly demand situation.
So Hafiz, how about the AWS commercial management in terms of the infrastructure that a customer would like to embark on AWS? What are the commitment, or is there any commitment at all or with AWS?
With AWS, it's a pay-as-you-go model. Pretty much pay based on what you actually use. So there is no financial upfront commitment. It's like how you use your electricity bill, right? If you don't use it, TNB will not charge you a single cent. If you use it, TNB will then charge you. The meter starts the moment you turn it on. Same goes with AWS. So there was
but the danger is if we don't pay, the services turn off.
So that is why AWS has this what you call it, featured what we call AWS budgets, right? AWS budget is normally administrator will use it to send an alert if we forecast that you're gonna hit this certain figure of your usage, right? So at least that will give you some sort of like early warning system saying that, hey, the system, you are expected to use this much of consumption, so you may want to review or stop or slow down or things like that. So we have that feature that administrator can configure. So that's how it is, right? No upfront commitment, pay as you go. You can set an alert based on your budget, right? And that will basically help you optimize the cost further. And the thing about AWS is that we also automatically tell you how to cut your bill, right? So so for administrator, they can go in, take a look at the console, and the system will recommend this is how you can save money further. Because there are times where you actually turn on a particular service, but you underutilize it. The system will tell you that you underutilize it. So you may want to reduce your configuration or something like that.
So just to add further to what Hafiz has mentioned, with regards to the cost management of the AWS services, we at IPSB, we would normally do a bulk purchase of AWS. We commit certain capacity, certain resources based on our forecast together with AWS. So the benefits to our customer, they get typically better price than the published AWS price. So that is the advantage, and we are a bit more flexible. We can localize the bill, we can localize the contract, and we will be able to give a customer a little bit more flexibility on top of what AWS could offer in terms of price and also in terms of the contract itself.
Yeah, I think a lot of our audience also wanted to know if you are based in Malaysia, the charges is on US dollar, right? With AWS. So this is what Dato' Nasir mentioned, that we'll be able to change the rate to a local rate, which is in Ringgit Malaysia. So it's much more easier. The transaction and also the exchange rate will be covered by IPSB per se, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So my next question would be to Hafiz, like, how do you choose the right cloud services or offering? What makes AWS different than the rest of other cloud provider in terms of services, in terms of solution, or onboarding probably?
So there are a few things that normally we advise customer to evaluate on which cloud provider will suit their requirements. First thing first is experience. You can't buy experience, right? AWS, we started the cloud computing way back in 2006, where we operate the Amazon.com environment on our cloud, right? And so we've been more than 13 years in the market. We have more than 1 million customers. So that basically gives us that massive experience of how to operate the cloud. And we have customers ranging from startups all the way to highly regulated customers such as NASDAQ, Capital One, US Department of Defense, and so on. So experience is definitely number one, right? Number two is what we call depth and breadth of services. With AWS, we have about more than 175 services, ranging from storage, AI, machine learning, IoT, big data, even gaming and things like that, right? So that gives customer choice of a lot more choice of solutions that they can implement on AWS compared to other cloud provider. The third thing is pricing philosophy. AWS is actually part of Amazon. Amazon, as we all know, is a retail company, right? A retailer mindset is that if you are able to reduce your cost, you pass that saving in a form of price reduction to the end customer. So with that retailer mindset, we have actually reduced our price more than 80 times since we started AWS. 80, yeah. And so why we are able to do that is because we are, as more and more customers use our cloud, we are able to reduce our operating costs. And that savings is passed back to the customer in a form of price reduction, right? So some customers may realize that they use the same amount of services from AWS, but somehow their bill is slightly less than the previous bill. That means we did a price reduction due to that savings that we have accumulated. The last thing is definitely the partner community, right? We have thousands of partners implementing all sorts of solutions, and we have hundreds of partners focusing primarily in public sector. And to us, partner play really, really important. So when customers want to choose a cloud provider, they need to look at how big is the partner community of that cloud provider to help them deliver the solution on the cloud. In this case, example like IPSB, you have a storage solution, right? That in a way provide a hybrid of on-premise storage and cloud storage. That is actually a really good value proposition for highly regulated industries such as government, because there are times there are data that they can't move to the cloud, right? So they need this kind of partner solution to address some of those data that must reside in country. So this is why a rich partner ecosystem or partner community is important when they choose a cloud service provider.
Yep, definitely, definitely. So I'm proud to say maybe we can put a chop here that IPSB is your trusted partner
Definitely.
in the market.
Yes, IPSB is our technology partner, all right, certified
Yep.
technology partner. In public sector, we don't have that many local technology partner, and we are proud to actually, that to have IPSB as one of the very, very few local company that are certified.
Yep, thank you for that. I think we can put a proof by AWS chop beside that. So yeah, so I think this is where we also really into this journey together with AWS, because AWS does bring us to the level that hand holding throughout this cloud transformation is still a long way to go. It's still a evolution for both partner as well as AWS. And with all the services that's happening right now, coming out with the latest machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all this IoT that is not really fully matured yet in the industry. I think this is where this relationship works. So my next question to Dato' Nasir, what do you see in the next 5 to 10 years? What do customers need to prepare in order for them to foresee the journey of this transformation?
No, I have seen the evolution of the IT itself, from the proprietary network to token ring to Ethernet to TCP/IP to internet to cloud. So many adopters, many believers. There are also who are skepticism, those who not willing to move, risk adverse group of people. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, open systems, internet, cloud is a must to have. You have no other choice in order for you to survive in your business environment. You must adopt.
Yep.
So it is a technology, not because the technology itself is the evolution of humankind. Where people need to communicate, people need to collaborate. People need to make their services available globally. So how do you want to do that? For the children who born in internet world, so from day one, they already provide their services in the cloud environment. If those generation became dominant, what will happen to your business? So something the enterprise and the government need to ponder. So imagine the cloud adoption to me is like it's either you are in or you are out kind of situation. I would say you have to start it now.
Yep.
Just like when we talk about internet banking those days, people will say about security, people talk about all this fraud. Of course, there's always be security issue, fraud issue, scammers, things like that. But do you have another choice? A banking without internet banking is like no banking.
Yeah.
So to adopt the cloud, I would say you just have to do it.
So yeah, I think you're right. I think you have no choice right now. We need to look back inside our own data center, going back to the drawing board and try to figure out how we be able to change the way it's supposed to be. So Hafiz, what about you? What do you think in the next 5 to 10 years? What do customer be able to foresee in the next future?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Datuk mentioned just now. If you're either you are in or you are out, right? If you look at the leaders in the market today, like Netflix, Airbnb, they are the early adopters of cloud. They're very open to technology and they disrupt the entire market. So the expectation from the public is getting higher and higher with this advancement in technology. So they expect government to automate more tasks, right? Going more digital. And the impact is not just in the commercial sector, but as well as in the public sector. If you look at education now, the government needs to be ready to go online to address the pandemic. And or there'll be another round of something that we never expect that will force the government to also embrace the technology to address that situation, a particular situation later on. So you either you are in or you are out. So in the next 5 to 10 years, we see the shift towards the cloud getting stronger. And we also see the trend of hybrid cloud getting more and more relevant. We understand that not all workload can run on the cloud. There are some workload that best run on the edge, we call it, right?
Yes.
So it's going to be a combination of cloud and edge computing, especially with the 5G coming in soon, right? There will be a lot more 5G applications that we can think of at this point of time, but there'll be a lot of exciting 5G applications that requires the data to be processed as close as possible to the device, right? So the trend of that cloud plus edge computing getting closer and closer with each other is going to be that big trend in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's why from AWS side, we have been rolling out a lot of edge solutions. For example, for customers who wants to run their system on premise, we have AWS Outposts, right? Later on, once the 5G is in place, we're going to have AWS Wavelength that allow 5G devices to process data to the nearest server as possible. So that's the trend that we see. 5 years is a long time. With the technology, a lot of things can happen within a year. So at least that's what we see in the next 5 years. A lot more use of the combination of cloud and edge computing.
So I guess if I may be able to add, in a way that the readiness of the organization, being the government or the enterprise, especially when you talk about education, it's not that we have the vaccine, the online schooling is no longer required. Now I heard about the good initiative by the government. They want to provide the e-textbook. The student will no longer need to carry bags. It's a good initiative. So at the end of the day, just like when we started the MyClick and RTB Go, that services is a must-have for the organization. As I said, it is going to be a continuum. It's not going to be a start-stop situation. So my recommendation to organization, especially when it comes to education, because education is really badly affected. COVID-19 generation who not been schooling for almost a year. I urge the government, think seriously about this, never compromise on having the online learning. Keep on improving, adopt it as fast as possible.
I think education is close to everyone's heart right now. I think goes to not only for government agencies or government schools, it's go also to the private schools where the fees are still quite high for parents to pay, and the education need to evolve. So the evolution of education is here. Pandemic actually accelerate it by 5 to 10 years. It's supposed to transform in the next 10 years, but it accelerates to today. So I think for schools that already have online learning, it's good. But for whoever doesn't have any online learning yet, so please call us. but in terms of the infrastructure that AWS already have and the combination and combined with IPSB technology, this is where a solution for education would be out there for you. Okay, Hafiz, can you share with us what are the use cases that a customer in a public sector is currently using AWS with?
Okay, I like to use Malaysia case study because that's closer to Malaysia and at least it give more confidence to our Malaysian audience, right? Smart Selangor use AWS extensively. They actually implemented an online payment system that enables citizens to pay all sort of bills, whether it's cukai taksiran or saman, and so on, all via a single app called Cepat, right? Cepat stands for Citizen e-payment platform. So why they use cloud? Why they use cloud is because they want to be able to introduce these services quickly without that huge upfront cost, and of course also use cloud to use all the latest services and technology that can help them minimize the entire implementation costs in the future. They also use cloud because they want to be able to scale quickly, because as you all know, things like tax or cukai, these are seasonal, right? You don't pay tax every day. You pay tax maybe every quarter or once a year. So cloud gives you the ability to scale up and down on demand. So that's a good example of how one of the Malaysia government, in this case Selangor State Government, through Smart Selangor, use AWS to roll out this citizen online payment. There are a lot more, few more, like for example, the implementation by IPSB for Department of Statistics. This is a good example of seasonal application taking advantage of cloud, right? Because census census or banchi, right, is done only once every 10 years, right? So why would you buy a lot of servers to roll out a system that is only used once every 10 years, right? So together with IPSB, what we did for Department of Statistics is actually to enable them to roll out an online learning system accelerated by cloud, right? And that will help them scale quickly, as well as minimize the cost to actually, deal with all this online content delivery and things like that. Yeah. So those are the two use cases that I would say closer to us as Malaysian. There are a lot more in Singapore, Vietnam, the US, and all that. I mean, we can go to AWS public sector, can see all those references. But I just want to highlight the ones that kind of close to us in Malaysia. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that. Datuk Nasir, any last word that you want to offer before we end this session?
Cloud, to me, just a terminology. It is all about providing the services, the solution to your customers or to your users more effectively. I believe that, as I said, the generation of the future, they would want to focus on what they want to do. It's not how they want to do it in terms of providing those services. As we always relate the services to electricity, we never think too much of how the electricity being produced. It's actually very complex, the network of the distribution and things like that. But we always took for granted the generation of electricity at home. My advice to everyone is that do not be afraid. Do not get too confused with this cloud, elastic computing, edge computing, blah blah blah, and things like that. Understand really what do you want. Understand really what do you want to offer. What kind of business that you want to do, how you want to monetize it, how does that impact to the society. Technology really is an enabler to those kind of things, and cloud will make it more easier, more rapid. Our experience is that we are actually building our small server room at our office. Even that experience itself, like it took us a while for us to do it. It is not complex, but it took us a while. But you just imagine, you want to have a world-class data center, you want to have all these disaster recovery, you want to have all the sophistication of infrastructure, you need to put in so much effort. As I said, the generation of the future, they just want it, and they want it now. That is when, the cloud is there, because is in their fingertips. They just click it and you will make it happen. So my advice to even my organization, do it now on the cloud, because if our service is not on the cloud, it will not be turned on by our customers. It will not be
Yep.
used by our society, because gone are the days where people want to wait for months for the services to be available. I myself doesn't have the patience anymore. But it is an experience, something that very critical. But from there, you learn. In the 3 to 5 years down the road, more and more people just want it now. They want to create their business now. When they want to offer their services, they have the idea, they just turn on it now.
Yeah.
So my advice is that adopt it without fear,
Now.
and adopt it now without fear. Don't complicate your mind. Just go and learn what is cloud is all about. Training, get your staff to be trained, and learn about it. As Hafiz mentioned, there's a lot of ways for you to actually reduce the cost. Some of them may complain that the cost is high. Maybe they do not manage it properly. Maybe they put a different category. Maybe the data should be in the archive. Glacier, kan, Hafiz? Your archive? They probably the data should be in Glacier, cheaper. They put it in
Standard,
S3.
standard, S3
S3,
standard.
the S3. Don't worry about the terminology. I mean, we're talking to Hafiz that way because that is their product. So at the end of the day, to me, complain or the worry about the bill is high is all about how you package it. The cloud service provider like AWS, they give you all the option. You want to keep it in the cheaper storage, other. Do you want to make it faster? They have it there. If you don't adopt it now, you don't learn. If you have the understanding, and if you face into the stumbling block, challenges, talk to us, talk to AWS. Why and how do you want to manage your bill? Don't just because of that you want to turn off the service. There are lots of ways to manage those resources.
So Hafiz, any last word that you want to offer?
Yeah, I like to use the Amazon style of thinking. You think big, right? Don't limit of what you think is possible or not possible. Just think big, because the cloud allow you to think big and start small. And if it works, you can go big, you can scale fast later. But it doesn't work, that's fine, because you start small, right? So it's think big, start small, and scale fast. So that's the attitude that you need to take when it comes to cloud. Not just when it comes to experimenting with new ideas, wanted to introduce new things, right? And the cloud is just the enabler, right? For you to think big, start small, and go fast and scale fast.
So we actually come to the end of our session. Thank you both, Datuk Nasir as well as Hafiz from AWS. It was really an insightful information for all of us, and especially those who are still wondering what cloud service is all about, still doesn't have any idea. At the end of the session, you feel eager to try, and you feel that there's so much more you need to learn and things like that. Don't worry. We got everybody covered. So just call us, contact us. We have all the informations below, and we can just comment on our social media platform as well. So we hope our viewers be able to enjoy the session and get very useful tips and tricks from AWS and from IPSB. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.